Jen Psaki telling reporters today there's no rush to recognize the Taliban as the official government of Afghanistan. And then she said it will be dependent on their actions. Really, their actions. Joining us now to talk about those actions, U.S. Army National Guard Colonel and Green Beret who served in Afghanistan, Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. Michael, we welcome you back to the show, and we always congratulate you on your service. You know, I love this. There's no rush to recognize the Taliban, and it's dependent on the steps the Taliban is going to take. And I sort of go, huh? Is this like the Taliban 2.0? And we're learning their new government, Michael, their new government, has the Haqqani in there, and they're all mullahs, and I don't see any civilian names. So what do you think about recognizing the Taliban? What do you think about depending on what steps they're going to take?
Yeah, so basically what Psaki's saying and what the administration's been hinting at now for weeks is that recognition is on the table. If they see the Taliban do certain things, right? And with that recognition, as you and I have talked about, would then be access to billions in foreign currency, would be access to IMF loans, would international recognition. I mean, it would a central bank. We would essentially have a terrorist mega-state. We've already basically given them an army, and then now they'll have billions to mess with. On top of that, you have, let's look at some of them just announced in their government. 4 out of the 5, by the way, of the Taliban 5 that were traded for Bergdahl, which I, as a special forces officer, had to lead the search for, if you remember the trader from a few years ago, are now back in charge. That trade, of course, was done by this same crew: Blinken, Biden, Austin, Sullivan, all of them. So that's one piece. The other piece is the head of the Interior Ministry in charge of their border enforcement, their police force, is a terrorist by the name of Siraj Haqqani, the head of the Haqqani network, a formally designated terrorist entity with very close ties to al-Qaeda. And the list just goes on and on. This is the same old Taliban, the same old terrorists. The only thing that's changed is they've improved their propaganda machine, and they have a bunch of terrorist appeasers sitting in the White House and at the State Department.
From your information flows and insider stuff, are the Taliban going door to door? Are there executions? I mean, I read about this stuff. I hate to sound inhuman, but it all has a familiar ring to it. I don't know why anybody is surprised. But what do you know, Michael Waltz, about this?
No, they are going door to door. They are looking through lists and biometrics that they seize from the various ministries and from our own bases. There's credible reporting by BBC. They just killed an 8-month-old pregnant policewoman in front of her family. I've told you about one of my interpreters that was beheaded and members of his family. So, yes, this is the same old Taliban. Now, in Kabul, and while they're sipping tea in Doha, Qatar, sitting at a 5-star hotel, they're presenting a much different face. And they're saying different things. But if you look at the actions that's going on in the ground, these are a bunch of genocidal thugs with a very warped interpretation of Sharia law, and with, according to Biden's own intelligence community, with very close ties to al-Qaeda. They have been very clear that al-Qaeda fully intends to come roaring back in the wake of all of this and fully intends to attack the West again. So this, Larry, this is going to be a repeat of what we saw in Iraq. The same Obama-Biden crew yanked us out too fast, too soon, recklessly, and we, years later, we're facing an ISIS caliphate the size of Indiana with an economy the size of Austria launching attacks around the world, except this time we've got far fewer tools to deal with. But we are going to have to go back again and deal with it. Future American soldiers are going to suffer, and we're going to spend blood and treasure dealing with this problem that Biden's created.
In the middle of all this, to your last point, Michael Waltz, General Milley almost said that. I mean, he's finally acknowledged that this is going to be a terrorist haven, and it's not going to be good, and it's not going to end well. I mean, after all this, giving up the airport, giving up the equipment, bungling the checkpoints, and all the rest of the mistakes that have been made, for which I blame the commander-in-chief, incidentally. First and foremost, I blame the commander-in-chief. But Milley almost said that it's going to be bad and we're going to have to go after him. What you just said.
Yeah, no, I mean, the intelligence is there. They've been briefing us for months and months. I wrote a book on this years ago that this is how this was going to unfold, except now it's worse because when they do have to go back to deal with it, you know, when we had to go back and deal with ISIS around Iraq, we had bases in Turkey and Israel and the Gulf states. We had the Kurds on the ground to deal with as local partners and to partner with us. But around Afghanistan, we have no bases. Our local allies are being hunted down. Not a single country around Afghanistan has agreed to help, nor are they going to because China and Russia won't let them. And we now are going to face a terrorist army armed to the teeth with our own equipment. And they, you know, if Biden goes down this road of recognizing them, they're going to have the powers of a treasury behind them and an international airport that we're helping them set up to launch al-Qaeda, ISIS, and other terrorists all over the world. It is mind-blowing, incompetent, unconscionable, and frankly unforgivable.
Congressman Waltz, one last point that's so confusing. This Mazar-i Sharif airport business, where we've got planes on the ground held up with people in it ready to bring. Now, some people are blaming the Taliban. Some people are blaming the State Department. Apparently, Secretary Blinken said, I think today, it's not the Taliban. And I think the fingers are now pointing more and more towards the State Department and their holdup for a variety of what I call bureaucratic paperwork reasons. But that may not be the whole story. What do you think is the right story at this stage?
Well, Larry, both can be true. State Department has been dragging its feet, and I know that for certain. I'm talking to these veterans groups day in and day out. They've done all of the groundwork to get Americans, green card holders, Afghan SIVs through Taliban checkpoints into safe houses, the charter plane in. Donors have provided the funding for the fuel and the pilots, but the State Department has to engage third countries. And so if you watch their twist of words, they say, well, we're not blocking that. Well, no, they're not blocking it. That's technically true, but they're also not actively engaging these countries to get the landing rights. Then Blinken says, well, the Taliban hasn't, to my knowledge, hasn't blocked anyone from leaving. But yet then the same breath he says, but if they determine that the paperwork's invalid, then of course they're not going to let them go. Well, I guess the Taliban are now our TSA agents and our customs officials. So at the end of the day, this is a hostage situation. They've backed us into it. And the Taliban are going to seek all those things we talked about, the recognition, the funding, the economic assistance, in order to let our people go. And the proof is positive. The planes are still there, and they've been there for days. So whether it's the Taliban, State Department, you name it, our Americans are still trapped. And that is, again, that's outrageous.
It's unacceptable. Absolutely. I think you're right. The characterization of a hostage situation is accurate. And I don't see the State Department understanding that or Mr. Blinken understanding that. One other one, though, before I let you go, and you're wonderful to give us all this time and all this information, Congressman. We appreciate it so much.
Well, the Americans deserve it, and our allies deserve it. I mean, they deserve better than what they're getting from Washington, D.C. for now.
And I'm not letting this story go. I refuse. I'm not letting this story go. Sir, is the State Department or anybody giving any help to the Pineapple Express, private sector efforts to get people out one way or the other? Are they getting any help at all?
That's the thing. I mean, we have these stories of who deserves credit. We got people over, over a land border, and now State Department officials are saying, "Oh, we did the work." It's not about credit. This is about mission. This is about saving lives. And Anthony Blinken should be having these veterans groups in a ceremony, putting his arms around them, thanking them, along with the people that we got out. We should be working together in a public-private partnership, all as fellow Americans.
Trump would be meeting with them.
Because now we have no diplomats, no soldiers on the ground. These groups are all we have, and we should be helping, not hindering.
Trump would meet with them, Michael. Trump would have met because he's such a hands-on
He'd be
guy.
celebrating them.
He would have.
He would be celebrating
That's
these
right.
people.
All right.
That's right.
They're yelling at
but
me.
we're having to fight through our own government right now, and it's unreal.
Congressman Michael Waltz, you're the best of the best. Producers are screaming at me as always, but you're so good. We hope you'll come back soon.